name is Professor Jeremiah Alioso, and welcome to my channel. We're going to discuss for today the food service systems model. So this is actually the model designed by Spears in 1995, and this paradigm is being used for evaluating the food service systems. Please note that different organizations would have different food service systems. They all operate differently depending on their resources. They have different processes that they are adapting, and of course, they have different output elements. So basically, we're going to discuss each of these six elements one by one. And actually, on our last discussion, I have given you an overview of the food service system. But basically, a food service systems model was developed to illustrate applications of systems theory to a food service organization. All right, so we are all aware of the different examples of food service organization, and that it's not just limited to the traditional restaurant. So the food service organizations could come in many different forms. It could be catering, it could be bar operation, cafeteria, um, food outlets in the malls, in cinema, in the parks. So they would have different system that they are using, and obviously the different elements of the system are very much different. So an examination of model reveals that it is based on the basic systems model of an organization, which includes the input transformation and the output. Sometimes it's called the IPO, or input process and output, and these are the basic elements. With the addition of three more elements, now comes the expanded model, which covers the control element, memory, environmental factors, and feedback, which are from the expanded model of an organization, are integral parts of the food service systems model. All right, so let us start with the input element. All right, so the input of the food service system are the human and physical resources that are transformed to produce the output. And traditionally, these resources have been referred to as the men, materials, money, and minutes. And this traditional definition has been expanded by defining the following four types of resources. Okay, so the first one is the human resource. And we know that this includes the people or the members of your organization, coming from the top of the organization down to the rank and file. And here we consider their competencies, their knowledge, their skills, and attitude, which are needed for different job titles, would require different set of knowledge, skills, and attitude, which is the basis of the human resource manager for them to be able to hire the right person for the right job. Okay, and then the materials. This could be your food or ingredients and the supplies that are needed for the restaurant to, or the different food service systems to operate. Okay, and as we are all aware that different organizations would have a different set of materials that are being used for them to be able to sell their products and services. And then also part of the input element would be the facilities, and this includes the space and the equipment. Okay, so different organizations would be using different space and equipment. Some would be big, some would be small, and so it's the same with the equipment. Modern institution or establishments would be using modern type of tools and equipments which are necessary in the production of their products and in the delivery of their services. And also important input element would be the operational resource, which covers your money or the capital requirements of the organization. Because obviously, if you do not have money, you wouldn't have business. Time is of the essence because different activities would require different time for you to be able to accomplish that particular task. Okay, and then the utilities and also information. Please note that input requirements are dependent upon the specified objectives and plan of the organization. So the input elements could vary depending on the objectives set, depending on the occasion, depending on the type of the establishment. And also you could modify this because different customers would have different feedback of your output. Now, if they feel that there's something wrong with your input elements, you could, I mean, there's something wrong with the output. Say, for example, that the there's something wrong with the flavor of your pasta. Then maybe you can do something with your ingredients. Maybe you could change the brand, change the measurement, and so that you could have improvement in your output element. So we will see later how each of the elements are interconnected. Okay, so I have here a table which would show the difference in the input element of each organization. On the column on the left is the restaurateur A, which would have a coffee shop as an example of a food service organization. And on the right, for the restaurateur B, would have a fine dining restaurant. And we are aware that in terms of the human resource, they would have different requirements when it comes to the people that they would hire. Maybe the knowledge and the skills needed for a coffee shop operation would that be different with that of the fine dining. Of course, with the fine dining restaurant, we have the customers would have high expectations, and then so naturally you would need a high caliber kitchen personnel and dining personnel to be able to deliver your products and services. Okay. When it comes to the materials, in coffee shop, of course, the ingredients are of good quality, whereas for a fine dining, naturally, because we are paying so much in fine dining restaurants, they would be using premium ingredients and supplies. Sometimes they would have the ingredients sourced from other countries, and naturally, these ingredients or materials are more expensive as compared to other forms of food service organizations. And so it's the same with the facilities and their type of operation. Okay, so I hope that you're able to pinpoint the difference in the use of their input elements when it comes to the different food service organizations. Let us now go to the second element, which is the transformation. So obviously this comes from the word transform, meaning to say the collective change. Okay, so looking back to what we have discussed a while ago with the input element, so you need to have actions. You need to have activities be done in order for those raw materials or input element to be converted. Okay, so you need to transform those using the management function, functional subsystem, and the linking process. When we say the management functions, I'm sure that everybody is aware of the functions of management, which is the POSDICON, or the planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling, which are important activities in any organization because you are able to transform, mobilize your input element so that it can be converted into the final output that you desire and to be able to achieve the objectives that you have set for the organization. For the functional subsystem of a food service system, they may be classified according to their purpose or function and may include procurement, pre-processing, production, distribution, service, and maintenance. For the linking process, these are decision making, communication, and balance. So decision making is the selection of course of action, and communication is a vehicle whereby decisions and other information are transmitted throughout the system. And balance refers to the managerial adaptations to changing economical, political, social, and technological conditions. All right. And we need these processes for us to convert the input element into output. So decision making is important because you are, as a manager, you will be faced with different situations, scenarios. You will be meeting with different people. So communication is very vital in the organization. So the for the output element, so this is the third element. Output are the products and services that result from transforming the input of the system and express how the objectives are achieved. Of course, the primary output as a food service institution would be the meals that you have to serve. And people expect of, or you have to remember the 2Q as the primary output of your organization. That will be meals and quantity and quality. All right, so that's the 2Q. Okay, so people expect that your the products that you will be serving is of good quality, and of course, they will be ordering a certain number of meals or products. And then client satisfaction. So we're not just concerned of the satisfaction of our, client satisfaction is closely linked to the types and quality of food services provided and also to client expectations. Okay, so it is very important that our clients are satisfied, and this will be met if you will be able to meet the needs, wants, and demands of your clients. But bear in mind that different clients would have different set of expectations. So it's very challenging for the management to keep your customer satisfied. And client satisfaction will not be sufficient. As for you to have a balanced organization, you have to make sure also that your people are satisfied, or the personal satisfaction, making sure that they are provided with the right remuneration or salary, that they are sent off to training for the improvement of their knowledge and skills. Okay, because this will allow motivation to your employees. And financial accountability, of course, as a business, for you to be able to have a sustainable and viable system, you need to earn profits. Okay? So that will be the output element. And then the fourth element is control. Control element encompasses the goals and objectives, policies and procedures, standards, and programs of the organization. All of these plans are internal control of the system, and these plans may either be standing or single use. Okay, so looking into the idea of control, please note that this serves as your guide. So, example of a plan would be a standing plan, and these are those which are used repeatedly over a period of time and are updated or reviewed periodically for changes. Example is a cycle menu, which commonly is being used in cafeteria because a cycle menu, from the word itself, it rotates. So the chefs are establishing a certain pattern by which they will rotate the plan. Say, for example, would it be a weekly menu or to be rotated every month? Okay, and then the single-use plan are those which are designed to be used only for one time for a specific purpose or function. Okay, so these are being used for special events, Okay, just like for catering, you would have weddings or birthdays, because sometimes the menu is customized according to your preference, according to the choice that you have availed during the consultation process. The caterers are crafting a specially designed menu perfect for your needs, wants, and demands. So, contracts and various local state and laws and regulations are other components of the control system. All right, number five is feedback. The feedback element provides information essential to the continuing effectiveness of the system. Feedback provides information for evaluation and control of the system. If a system continually receives information from its internal operation and external environment, of course, the feedback coming from different people would be important, most especially with the feedback of our clients. This instrument would be very helpful for us to continually improve our business, our line of work. And this is often observed as in the form of survey or feedback form, comment card, online evaluation. Like, say, for example, whenever that you would dine in at a restaurant, you may be given a client feedback form by which you are to to tick or rate your responses on the different elements of the operation. Say, what's your feedback in terms of the food, the ambiance, the service, the people, and so on. And we could also include as part of the feedback element are the the feedback of the people in which they use social media as a form by of giving feedback to the level of service that's being given. The bloggers would have reviewed or a write up on their feedback or experience on the different food service establishments. Sometimes there's a mechanism by which you could rate the service of that organization using a 5-star rating. Okay, and it's important that we know whether the feedback is positive or negative. If you just take it constructively, you will be able to learn where can your business grow, where can your business improve, what are the areas for improvement. And last but not the least is the memory element. Memory element stores and updates information for use in the food service system. Examples of these are inventory and financial records, forecasting and personal records, copy of menus with data on numbers. The review of past records provides information to management for analyzing trends and making adjustments in the system. So for the memory element, usually these are records because the records could help us arrive at a sound decision for the organization. If you look into the records of your employee, such as the resume, their and the other pertinent details related to their tenure, we would be able to come up with a decision as to who would be more qualified for promotion. Okay, we will look into their performance evaluation. We are looking into the menu so that the purchaser would be able to know what are the things to be purchased or ordered to the supplier. We're looking into the costing. We're looking into the inventory of supplies and products. Okay, so these are important elements. Okay, so again, this is the model illustrated to showcase the evaluation of evaluating the food service system as authored by Spears in 1995. You see here the placement of the different elements of the system from the input on the left, the transformation in the middle, and the output element on the right. And as you see on the arrow, the input element is needed to convert them to become the final element or the output. And in the middle, you need to have some actions or activities in order for this input element to be converted into the objectives set forth by the organization, which is the meals in quality and quantity, the customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, and financial accountability. And as you would see on the top portion is the control, and it's set on top so that it would be a guide for the organization in their day-to-day operation. And you see that the goals and objectives of the organization, such as the vision, mission, and core values, are the guiding principle of the organization. And everyone in the organization, from the top to the bottom, would use those as their guiding principle. They have to adhere to the policies and procedures, the standards, the contracts have to be followed, and the rules and the regulation. All right. And then, of course, the memory element would serve as a basis in the transformation process. Okay. It will provide you with empirical data so that you will be able to arrive at a sound decision for the organization. And here you see the feedback element. Whatever is the result of your output, okay, naturally your customers would have feedback. And this feedback could be positive or negative. So if the feedback is positive, you just continue. Okay. However, if there are suggestions to change on something, you have to go back to the input element. Okay, and maybe there's something wrong there, and maybe also with the transformation. And as soon as you have uh, changed the input or the transformation, you try to review if the output would be positive or negative. All right, and here you see the external factors or the super system. They are actually the external forces that would affect the organization. And in the context of tourism and hospitality marketing, the external environment would be your pests or the political, economic, social, cultural, and technological changes that's happening in the environment. And you could be positively or negatively affected by those. So the organization needs a little adjustment, and they have to abide by what's happening because, after all, some of those external factors are uncontrollable. All right. So I hope that you have learned something new today. And thank you so much for listening. I hope that you follow or subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please give this content a thumb up. And don't forget to hit on the notification bell for more updates. Again, this is Professor Jeremiah Eliaso. Thank you so much, and you have a good day. Bye.